We're glad to have Montana's congressional representative here on Montana this morning to answer a lot of questions on issues that really affect us here in the Treasure State. Thanks so much for taking time.
Good morning, Keely. Good to be with you.
Good to have you here. I trust the drive was okay. Did you drive up early this morning?
We came up yesterday.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And we have a full day of events. We're getting up to Shoto and out to Conrad today. And
nice.
then back to D.C. tomorrow.
Oh, wow. That is a busy week. Well, hopefully the weather holds up for you guys then.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go ahead and dive right into it. We want to, first of all, just get this big question out of the way. Campaign 2020 is approaching, it seems very fast. It's just right around the corner. Do you have any plans to run for governor?
Well, Keely, it's an honor to serve this great state. And I hope if the people of Montana want me, I'll continue to serve. I've been talking to a lot of people across the state. I am seriously considering the governor. I'm getting encouraged to do that, but I'm still collecting input, and when we make a final decision, you'll be one of the first ones to know.
All right, sounds good. Let's go ahead and move on to infrastructure. That is a big topic, especially this last week, legislation coming down for the Milk River project. As I understand it, that project is important to millions of farmers, ranchers, people that really depend on the Milk River. Can you talk a little bit about the bipartisan efforts that you guys, this legislation that you guys were able to pass last week?
Yeah, this Milk River project is really essential for folks all along the High Line. The Milk River, if the St. Mary's project didn't exist, would go dry 6 out of 10 years. So, and it's over 100 years old. It's time to rebuild it, and the allocation of funds really wasn't appropriate. So the entire Montana delegation, Senator Tester, Senator Daines, and myself introduced legislation to make sure that the federal government pays their fair share in rebuilding this so we can preserve domestic water all along the High Line.
Right, and can you speak a little bit on just the importance of working together with all sides of the aisle to try and get this passed? I mean, this is a big issue for Montana.
It is, and this has always been my approach. There's a lot of partisan bickering back in Washington, but for my part, I always want to do the right thing for Montana. And there's no question that we need to rebuild St. Mary's, and that's why it was easy to come together. It was common ground.
Right, definitely. Are there any other big infrastructure projects on the horizon that you guys are also hoping to get in motion here, or? Well,
one of the things I'm working on is rural broadband, because we really have a digital divide today between rural and urban. Rural broadband is important for healthcare delivery. It's important for our schools. It's also part of allowing this new economy to emerge, particularly in our rural towns, so that kids don't have to leave the state, they can stay here, and Montanans can come back home. So rural broadband's the other area. I think there's things we can do in that area as well.
All right, and let's go ahead and move on. Speaking of the Highline rural areas especially, you were just in Glasgow for a meeting with Customs and Border Protection, especially regarding the ports of entry. I know that's been a big issue for many up in the Haver-Shelby area. What are their thoughts? What have you been hearing from constituents?
Yeah, so these ports of entry into Canada are critical for agriculture, flowing both ways. It's also critical for the economy, for tourism, and Customs and Border Patrol got ahead of themselves. They came out and did what they called were listening sessions. In reality, they were just telling sessions. They had already made up their mind. So I got on the phone with the commissioner of CBP, John Sanders, and asked him to reverse the decision to shut these ports down. They did that. They heard us when we spoke to them there, and then asked them to come back and redo the listening session. So there were 2 sessions, Friday and Saturday. There'll be another one tonight and tomorrow night, so that they can hear the voice of the local people and hear how important these ports are. We need to keep these ports open. I was pleased that CBP reversed their decision and opened the Port of Raymond back up.
And I know a lot of people, I'm sure, on the High Line are happy as well that came down. Let's go ahead and move on. We're running out of time here. But let's go back to here in Great Falls. You are going to be touring Benefice Health System here, talking with administrators, physicians. What are your focus is going to be today? Well,
I've been touring hospitals all over the state. I was in critical access hospitals in Deer Lodge and White Sulphur Springs and Roundup just in the last week. We're going to Benefice today. And this is top of mind for Montanans. We need to maintain rural access to health care. We've got to protect people with pre-existing conditions, and we've got to get costs down. So I want to hear from the folks at Benefice, what can we do at the federal government to do those three things? Get costs down, preserve rural access, and protect people with pre-existing conditions. I was very pleased, just a few weeks ago, I introduced a bill that would actually get prescription drug prices down. It passed out of committee. Again, there are bipartisan things we can get done in Washington. I had a Democrat co-sponsor on that bill, but it just makes sense to work to lower healthcare costs for folks.
Of course, and I know that's one of the big issues that people have, especially with healthcare reform, is prescription drug costs. As I understand it too, you will be traveling to Teton Medical Center in Choteau today as well, so people could just, constituents there will have a chance to speak with you up in there.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, that is all the time that we have with Mr. Gianforte. Thank you so much for taking time to be here this morning.
My pleasure,
Early.
Keely. Good to see you. Yeah, happy to come back.
All right.